What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are going to be doing our UFC 308 predictions. Now, from now on, I'm going to be doing a full card prediction. So from now on, also, you guys will be seeing a predictions, whatever that's called, numbers somewhere on the screen. Not for this one. Starting now, we're going to be doing the full card predictions, so we'll see how we can go out of these 13 fights, I believe. Some of these guys towards the bottom, I'm not even going to lie to you guys, because I'm not going to come in here and say that I know every single fighter on this card. So I'm just going to give you guys some of my predictions based on some of the research that I've done. So also watching these two, I feel like doing the full prediction, some of these guys might be locks. After some of the research that I've done, in my opinion. So if you want to add some of them to your parlays, feel free. I know a lot of people, including myself too, when I was first getting into the UFC, I would go and watch full card predictions. Maybe I wouldn't necessarily know all the guys, but someone else telling me that they could win the fight, maybe leaned me one way to put them in their parlay or whatever. I don't know. So I did some research on pretty much all these guys. I haven't watched all of them fight. Like, I'm not sitting here watching UFC fights all day long. I'm not watching. Some of these guys are having their UFC debut. I didn't go watch them fight like, what do we have here? Some of these guys too are coming in from their first fight ever in the UFC. Like, I didn't go out and watch all of Ismail Nardiev's fights from Morocco, okay? So that doesn't make me less credible, because once we get into the guys that we all know, I'll tell you guys, I got the good picks, as you guys know. So starting off, we got Ibo Aslan versus Rafael Sakarica. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Some of these guys towards the bottom, their pronunciations might be a little suspect. We got a lot of guys too, with this being in... I don't want to get this wrong. I get confused. The United Arab Emirates. I get confused between all the different places over there in like Europe and stuff. So, yeah. So for this fight, I'm going Aslan by KO. This is a light heavyweight fight, 13-1 against 11-0. But I think this is one of those cases that we see the guy who's been in the UFC, a guy that was on the Contender Series in Aslan, and he's going to come out here, and I think he's going to win this fight, and he's going to knock him out in, I have second round here. Second round knockout. Also, if you guys want to follow on Tapology too, I have all of my picks on there. So that's kind of where I'm getting some of this information from as well. So if you guys want to follow me on there, I will put the link in the bio down below. You don't have to. I don't expect anyone to, but if you want to, just to keep up. Yeah, so I think Aslan's going to win this fight. Next up, we have Renat versus Carlos Leal. Some of the odds will show up on here. This is a welterweight fight. This fight, I have Renat winning by decision, 21-1-1. Leal is making his debut here as well. He was fighting in the LFA, UAE. He was in the PFL, where he did win some fights, but then lost. And then I think he was probably cut or maybe left. I don't know. But Renat has been in the UFC for a while. Within his last 5 fights, he is 4-0-1, that one draw. So pretty solid overall. He could be pretty close to the rankings, honestly. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy makes it up into the welterweight rankings in a little while. But Leal in his first UFC fight, getting kind of fed to the wolves here. I think I'm going with Renat by decision. Here we go. Ismail Nardev versus Bruno Silva here. This fight, some of these fights on the prelims could either be really good or maybe not as good. I have Ismail here winning by submission against Bruno Silva, which you might say is... that one's a little bit risky. I think he's going to win this fight. It is pretty close. I don't know if they show the odds on here for this fight. No, not yet. But it's pretty close. I think Ismail might be the slight favorite right now. I see -125. I don't know how that was updated or not. But you got the Reebok shorts over here, which is interesting. Coming back in He was in Brave for a while, so I believe this is his first fight back in the UFC in some time, if they're going to let me look. So, yeah, his last fight was in 2019 in the UFC, so trying to make his way back here. And I think that's why people may be going with Silva, but I'm going with Ismail here by submission. Call me crazy, call me whatever you want, but this is just my prediction. This one is probably the most suspect one on the prelim so far, in my opinion, out of the fights that we've already talked about here. We got Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. I mean, you can see the odds right here. I'm going with Basharat by decision, minus 625. So this one, I wouldn't go with the money line here, but 12-0 so far, working his way up the rankings, not the rankings, but, you know, the ladder in the UFC. He was on the Contender Series, won that fight, 3-fight winning streak within the UFC outside of the Contender Series right now. So trying to string together some wins in the bantamweight division. Who knows? At 27 years old, this guy might be on his way to getting in the rankings within the next year or so. Yeah, but Victor Hugo, very big underdog in this fight. I don't think he's going to get it done. Here we go. My boy, Chris Barnett here. Kind of a meme, as you guys know. If you don't know, I mean, look at these two guys, right? I think the odds for this one, I'm pretty sure Barnett, yeah. So, Kennedy Nazhachewu, he's been in the UFC for a while. I've never known how to pronounce his name. Maybe I'll figure it out one day. You know what? I may get this fight wrong, but I'm taking Chris Barnett by knockout. He's plus 400. He's a big underdog. But if I get any fight wrong, I want this one to be the one that I get wrong, okay? Not that I want to... Actually, no, that sounds weird. Yeah, I might get this one wrong, but I don't care. I'm going with Chris Barnett. At the end of the day, we could go 12-1, and I'm still going to pick Chris Barnett. Yes, I could keep my perfect record if we go 13-0, but I'm taking Chris Barnett by knockout. I think this would be so funny if he can go out there and win this fight and make his way back up. The rise again of Beast Boy. I think this is his chance, right? He lost to Martin Buday. So 2 years ago, his most recent fight was 2 years ago, so he's coming back right now. It's been 2 years, and people need to know that Chris Barnett is back. I don't even know what the odds are for him to win by knockout. If the money line's plus 400, I'm assuming it's pretty close. Will Kennedy win this fight? Probably. But like I said, if I'm going to get any fight wrong, I'm going with the 5'9", 267.5-pound absolute tank in Chris Barnett. This is a fun one. If you guys want a fun bet that, throw a few dollars on, you don't care if you win or lose, just take Barnett by knockout. Like I said, it's the prelims. So, yeah, we can get that one wrong if we need to. But I do want Chris Barnett to win, so that's why I'm picking him here. We got to speak it into existence. Abbas Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira. I'm getting all... There's a lot of names that we got to go through that are going to be hard. But once we get to the main card, I think we can figure everything out then. A lot of hard pronunciations. Yeah, this one, a lot of people are going with Bruno Ferreira here. And I can see why. I feel like he's a bit of a... Not like a massive name, but I feel like, since he's been in the UFC for... at least like 2 years, people have heard of him at least in the Contender Series 2 years ago. So he still has a little bit of that aura to him. And when we're looking at Abbas Magomedov here, the main reason is because of where we are. I'm taking Magomedov. The odds are minus 150, but a lot of people are taking 68% of people are predicting that Ferreira is going to win. I'm in the minority here. I'm taking Magomedov by knockout. I think he's going to get it done. Call me crazy again, but this is one that I'm against the people with. I just think that Magomedov is going to go out there and get it done. And look, we go from Magomedov to Nurmagomedov and Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Daniel Santos. Like I said, with these cards, I'm looking at guys. I see Magomedov. I see Nurmagomedov. I'm going to take the guy with the last name Nurmagomedov. Saeed Nurmagomedov also is good. Like, this one I don't think is as obviously close if we're looking at the odds. And if it's going to even open up at all, I guess not. We're not going to, is that the only one that's not going to open up? All right. Let's just keep going. You know, there's no script. This is live, me going over the picks. So, yeah, Saeed Nurmagomedov here. I am going to take him. I don't know. Did this one get canceled or something? Is this not happening? Is that why it's not coming up? I guess we're learning on... Oh, okay. Daniel Santos pulled out 12 hours ago. Never mind. Okay, ignore that fight then. Next off here, we got a rising contender as well. If you guys don't know yet, still got to work on the pronunciations. But this, I think, is going to be a good fight overall. We got Matuasev Rebecki versus my boy over here. I still don't know how to pronounce his name. I'll figure it out at some point, but you guys can see my mouse, right? We're going with my boy over here. You know, his last 2 fights in the UFC, this is his 3rd time fighting within 12 months, within a year. And he's won his last 2 fights by submission and decision. And he's going to come out here for Kazakhstan. Is that how you pronounce that? I told you guys, I'm not good with pronunciations. So I am going with my boy here, Makidabek Orlaba Bay. I told you, I'll figure it out at some point, but I do fuck with him. And I think a lot of people do. He's got some aura. He's got a lot of mysterious aura. It's like the new Khamzat. Or not Khamzat. I guess kind of like Khamzat. I was thinking of... see, now there's too many names in my head. All these pronunciations are getting me confused. Yeah, he might be an aura merchant, but I think he's going to go out here and win this fight by decision. So we're going to go with him. Now we're finally getting to the guys. I will be able to pronounce all the names from now on. Okay, maybe not. We'll get to that when we do. Jeff Neal versus Rafael Dos Anjos here. This one I don't think is going to be too much of an exciting fight overall. Jeff Neal coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. But when we're looking at them, it's Shavkat and it's Ian Gary, okay? So you lose to Shavkat, you lose to Ian Gary in your last 2 fights. This is what I've been saying. Jeff Neal has been like pretty much the stepping stone. He's been within the rankings. He's been within the top 15. So they're giving these up-and-coming guys Jeff Neal to fight so then they can beat him. But then he's going to come out and beat a guy like Dos Anjos and get his get back and make sure he stays in his rankings, right? Jeff Neal is now... or I guess he has been for a little while now before he was kind of going on maybe a title run. Not really. But yeah, Jeff Neal has become kind of a gatekeeper because he's going to win this fight, right? He'll keep his ranking, and then he's going to go up against another up-and-coming guy in the welterweight division. Who knows? It might be a guy on this card. Like I said before, we got some other guys in the welterweight division, maybe coming out. Maybe one of them will call out the winner or the loser of this fight. So yeah, Jeff Neal will stay within the top 10 with getting this win. I have him winning by decision. I don't think it's going to be an insane fight. I think it's just going to go to decision. And another fight that I think is going to go to decision is Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Armin Peroshian. Like I said, I'm taking Shara Bullet here. I think it is still kind of funny that he can't fight in America because of his whole eye thing, even though Michael Bisping, all that stuff went on, fighting with a glass eye, fake eye, whatever you want to say. But yeah, Magomedov has been... He's been good, right? Like watching all these fights, if you guys haven't watched them, which I'm assuming... most of you guys at least know about Shara Bullet at this point, watching this, whether you're a casual fan or a hardcore fan or whatever, obviously with the Magomedov last name. But this is his toughest fight so far, in my opinion. But I do think he's going to win by decision. It's been tough for him because he's had a lot of fights that have come down to decision. Within the 3 out of his last 3 fights, 2 of them have come to decision, and he wasn't able to get the finish. But he did fight, what was it, 2 times within 5 weeks, I believe, within like a month and a half or something, this summer, pretty much. But I think Shara Bullet's going to get another win here, maybe boost him up. I think after this, he's one fight away from getting into the rankings, in my opinion. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic here. This one is a bit easier for me to predict. I feel like people are coming out and saying that Rakic, I know people want to give credit to Rakic that he might win, but I don't see a path for Rakic to win this. I think people are forgetting how good Magomed Ankalaev is. He should have been the champion. Like, I don't want to downplay Alex Pereira. We'll see him fight Alex Pereira, and it's going to be tough. I think people forget how good Magomed Ankalaev is, and this could completely go wrong for me. Alexander Rakic, who knows, could knock him out. But I'm taking Magomed by round 2 knockout here specifically. I don't know if you guys care about the rounds or not. Like I said, everything's on my Tapology, so you guys know that I'm not switching up the predictions, or if you just want to see the rounds or anything. But yeah, I mean, he should have been champion. Realistically, like, I think he beat Jan. I think after that fight, Jan Blachowicz also thought that he lost that fight. Like, the body language at the end of that fight, Magomed should have been the champion, in my opinion. And then, obviously, having that fight against Johnny Walker, and then he goes in for the knee. Johnny Walker gets up. They ask him, "Where are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm in the desert." Yeah, okay. And then they end the fight that way. And then he goes out and proves that he should have won that fight, whether that was an illegal knee or whatever you want to say. But yeah, like, we're talking about this guy 2 years ago. He could have been a champion with a 19-1 record. Now, no championship, fighting for a number 1 contender fight at 19-1, 1 and 1 no contest. Yeah, I think Magomed's a very good fighter. I think people are undervaluing how good he really is. And I think he's going to come out here and show it again and get that championship fight against Pereira. And definitely going to be toughest opponent for Pereira at this point. Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. Now, I know Dan Ige got a lot of aura points in that last fight that he had, going out and losing to Diego Lopez, showing up. "Oh, we've never seen this before, Joe. Oh yeah, DC, Dan Ige just drove all the way down, living in Vegas. He showed up 3 hours. Absolute major props to Dan Ige. That fight going all 3 rounds as well. But I do think he loses to Lerone Murphy here. 14-0-1. I don't think this is going to be his first loss here. I do think that this may not be the most exciting fight as well. I think whoever wins this wins by decision, and I'm taking Murphy here by decision. I think Murphy's probably just going to go in there and kind of not push around Ige, but kind of just beat him up a little bit. And I think Ige will still probably be ranked after this, but I think Murphy is really moving up the rankings right now. I think he's a really good fighter. He'll probably be close to the top 10 after this. Who knows with the UFC rankings right now? I don't know. They love to not move guys after they win or just vault them wherever they feel like they should be. But yeah, I think Murphy's going to win this fight. Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev here. This is 5 rounds. Do I think it's going to go 5? No. I'm taking Khamzat by knockout. And I think that this one's going to be an interesting one because realistically, Robert Whittaker has been on a very, very good run. That loss to DDP, which, by the way, people were so convinced he was such a big favorite in that fight. And it's so funny to see how much has changed in the UFC within like a year and 3 months now. 15 months since that fight. Because I remember I was watching that fight live. I was talking to a guy and I told him all my picks. He's like, "You know what? I think everyone's going to win except I don't see DDP winning." And that I'll make a video about DDP soon. I know that people kind of hate on him a little bit. I think he's the most overhated fighter in the UFC. He's one of my favorite fighters. But yeah, I don't know what that tangent was about. But realistically, I mean, Khamzat Chimaev is that guy. And I think people are going to realize it again. He's coming back. It's been a while. It's been about almost has it been exactly a year when this happens? pretty much. I'm trying to think. I feel like it was last October that he fought Usman, and that one went to decision. I think Khamzat's going to come in here and he's going to knock out Robert Whittaker, and he's going to move up the rankings, and then we're going to have a lot of contenders at the top of middleweight, so that'll be fun to see. The championship fight here, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. Now, you guys may not like my prediction, and by me saying that, you guys already know who I'm going to say is going to win. I think Ilia Topuria is going to win. And call me a casual, call me whatever you want, but I think he's going to knock out Max Holloway, okay? No one's been able to do it. Statistically, he's never been dropped, right? Is that what the stats say? He hasn't been dropped at all. I think I saw that somewhere. Technically, he wasn't dropped in that Gaethje fight. Yeah, well, so... I mean, obviously, both of these guys are very good strikers, right? Do I think there's a victory path for Holloway? Yes. I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's more... I guess the odds matter a little bit. Minus 238. I would say whatever the odds are. I would say it's like 75-25. I think people don't like Ilia Topuria because Ilia Topuria has fallen into the same exact trap that DDP has fallen into, where he's fighting all of these fan favorite guys, right? He went against Volk, right? Big fan favorite. He's going against Max Holloway, big fan favorite. So the people are against him. The same thing with DDP. DDP going against Sean Strickland. There's a lot of based Sean Strickland fans. He's probably the most favorite fighter out of, if you ask a casual fighter at this point, or a casual fight UFC fan at this point. Israel Adesanya, another guy that has a lot of fans. So Ilia Topuria has fallen into that trap as well. Not that it really matters. He doesn't care. But I think he's a really good guy. Like, he's a really good champion. I don't know how he is as a person. I'm assuming he's probably a good guy also. But he's a good champion. He's going to be able to hold down this division for a while. I think this is going to be his toughest task. His next fights, if we're looking at the rankings, I think that this will be his toughest fight as of right now, obviously. But when we're looking at the other guys in this division, like if he wins this fight, he's going to fight Volk again. I think he knocks out Volk again. You can call me crazy. Who else would he fight at this point? Yair Rodriguez, Evloev, Brian Ortega, Arnold Allen. I think he beats all those guys. I think Diego Lopez gives him a shot. But I don't know. I love Diego Lopez, but his gas tank is pretty suspect to this point. So I still think he beats that. I think Ilia Topuria runs this division for a while right now. And I think this is going to be a tough test for him, but I do think that he knocks him out. Okay? It's going 5 rounds, but I don't think it's going to go 5 rounds, I guess. I don't know. That's weird wording. There's 5 rounds in this fight. I don't think it's going to go 5 rounds. I think Topuria is going to be the guy that knocks out Max Holloway. And then I think Holloway should go up to lightweight after. And I think he could be successful there. And there's a lot more fun fights that we could see up there as well. He's in the top 5. So I think that would be fun to see him go up there as well. These are just my predictions. You guys may say that you don't like any of them, and I guess that's okay at the end of the day. We'll see what happens. Out of these fights, maybe we go perfect, maybe we don't get any of them right. I think we'll do pretty good, though. I'm pretty confident in some of these fights on this card. I'm pretty confident in, I would say I'm confident in all my main card fights. I think Ilia is going to get it done. I think Khamzat's going to get it done. There's a world where I see Dan Ige maybe just pulling out a win with all his aura points that he just got. I think Magomed, that's a lock. This one could be close because Shara could get fraud checked again. I just don't think this is the point that he does. I think it may come in the future. But yeah, besides that, like I said, if there's anyone I want to see win on this card, it's Chris Barnett, man. Shout out Chris Barnett. If he wins by knockout, I'm going to go crazy. That's all. Hopefully you guys like the full card predictions. Let me know down below if you guys want me to keep it like this format or just go back to the main card, and I'll see you guys in the next one.